My friend, I need to ask you something before we begin, and I want you to answer honestly, even if the answer isn't a comfortable one. You work hard. You put in the effort. You wake up early, go to bed late, and do what you think needs to be done. And yet, when you look at your financial situation today, you feel like something didn't quite add up. Like the effort didn't produce the return it should have. Like you're stuck in a cycle that keeps spinning but never moves forward. So let me tell you something that maybe nobody has ever told you this clearly. The problem is rarely a lack of effort. The problem, most of the time, is what you're avoiding seeing. Life isn't fair. It never was. Those who were born with fewer resources, less of a support network, fewer opportunities at the starting line will need to work even harder than others. That's real, and it would be dishonest of me to pretend otherwise. But here's what is also real. Within those conditions, there are choices. And those choices are what separate the people who transform their own reality from those who keep waiting for someone to come along and change the game. What you're going to learn today isn't theory. These are the 7 most common mistakes that prevent intelligent, hardworking, dedicated people from building real wealth. And if you stay until the end, I promise you'll leave here seeing money, effort, and your own life in a completely different way. Let's go. There's a path that almost everyone takes when they need money. And it's precisely that path that, over time, keeps them far from the wealth they so desperately want. That path has a simple name: working only for money. It seems obvious that everyone works for money, right? After all, that's what work is for. But there's an enormous difference between working to get paid and working to grow. When you prioritize salary above everything else, you end up accepting any job that pays well in the short term, even if it teaches you nothing new, even if it doesn't bring you closer to any skill, even if 5 years from now you're in exactly the same place. The trap is subtle because the paycheck at the end of the month gives you the feeling that things are going well. Your friends think you're killing it. Your family is proud. But beneath that comfortable surface, your growth potential is stagnant. And the market, which never stops, quietly leaves you behind without you even noticing. There's a distinction that millionaires who built wealth from nothing know very well, and that most people never learn. It divides the world into 2 paths. The first prioritizes immediate money. The second prioritizes 2 things money can't directly buy: skills and ownership. Skills are what make you indispensable. They're what no crisis can take away from you. A person who masters copywriting, video editing, sales, or project management carries with them an asset worth more than any fixed salary, because that asset goes with them anywhere. Ownership, in turn, is when you stop working solely for your time and start having a stake in what's produced. This can be equity in a company, a business of your own, or even a digital product that keeps selling after you've gone to sleep. Think about it. A carpenter's apprentice might earn less than an office worker in the first few years. But if that carpenter uses that time to truly master a craft, develops a technical eye that few people have, and then applies that to building their own business, in 10 years they have something no salary would ever have built for them. The point isn't what you earn right now. The point is what you're building while you earn it. And there's a detail that few people stop to consider. The digital market has opened up possibilities that simply didn't exist before. Skills like video editing, content creation, online ad management, web development, and process automation are all areas with massive demand and still far too little supply. The average level of those offering these services is still low. That means anyone who commits to developing one of these skills consistently, over 6 months to a year, will already be among the best available. And when you're among the best, you choose who you work for, how much you charge, and how you structure your life. The question that remains is, are you building skills today that will give you freedom tomorrow? Or are you trading your time for a number in your bank account without thinking about what comes next? Now, my friend, I need you to be honest with yourself again. When you see someone on social media traveling somewhere expensive, driving a flashy car, dining at restaurants that cost more than many people earn in days of work, what goes through your mind? Most people feel a mix of admiration and pressure. Pressure to appear like they're at that level too. Pressure to spend more than they should to maintain an image that the algorithm validates with likes. And that's exactly where the second trap lies, the one that keeps people from getting rich, confusing the appearance of wealth with actual wealth. The reality, when you look at the numbers, is very different from what shows up in photos. Most people you see living that lifestyle are paying for cars they can't afford to buy, trips financed on credit cards, and expensive meals that will generate a bill lasting months. That doesn't represent wealth. It represents a very well-produced performance. And you're paying for a ticket every time you try to imitate it. Real wealth doesn't show up in photos. It shows up in statements, investment records, and spreadsheets of assets accumulated over years of deliberate decisions. There's a very clear pattern among people who build genuine wealth. They delay consumption in the present to build freedom in the future. But it's important to say that this doesn't mean living miserably. It means choosing where money goes to work. Instead of buying a car that loses value the moment it leaves the dealership, the person with a wealth-building mindset puts that same money into assets that appreciate, that pay dividends, that generate income even while they're sleeping. A simple rule worth remembering. Consumer goods make you look rich. Assets make you get rich. The difference between these two categories completely changes the financial trajectory of any person. More than a third of Americans can't cover an unexpected expense of $400. Nearly 40% worry they won't be able to pay their monthly bills. And more than half of families can't afford to buy a new car. These numbers don't necessarily represent people who earn little. They represent people who prioritized appearance over financial solidity. And this happens across every income bracket. People who earn well but live on the edge because every salary increase generated a lifestyle increase. The solution isn't to deprive yourself of everything forever. It's understanding that each phase has its own strategy. In the building phase, the focus is on accumulating. In the consolidation phase, it's on growing. In the phase of financial maturity, it's on enjoying. But skipping steps has a cost that your bank account will charge you with interest. And speaking of interest, there's one side of this equation that very few people ever use to their advantage, and that's exactly what we'll look at now. There's a phrase that sticks in the mind of anyone who grows up without many resources. A phrase that sounds like truth, like wisdom, like realism. It goes something like this: life didn't give me the same chances it gave others. And you know what? In many cases, that's completely true. Where you start matters. The network of contacts you inherit matters. Access to quality education matters. Denying that would be naive. But there's a dangerous mistake that happens when this true observation becomes a permanent explanation for everything that didn't work out. When blame becomes the navigation system of your life, you stop looking at what you can control and start focusing only on what you can't. And that paralyzes you. A thinker I greatly admire used to say, "Those who blame others still have a long way to go. Those who blame themselves are halfway there. Those who blame no one have already arrived." This progression isn't about self-punishment. It's about where you place your attention. Imagine two objects in front of you, a magnifying glass and a mirror. The magnifying glass lets you zoom in on everything outside of you. With it, you can see the mistakes of others, the injustices of the system, the advantages someone had that you didn't. The magnifying glass is seductive because it often points to real things. But it changes nothing. The mirror, on the other hand, is harder to face. It shows you. It shows your choices, your patterns, your reactions, the opportunities you seized, and the ones you let slip by. And in the mirror is where the power to change something actually lives. People who build wealth from nothing share a trait that goes beyond skill or luck. They develop the habit of asking what they can do differently, instead of asking why things are so hard. That shift in questioning seems small. Over the long run, it defines everything. But there's a third mistake connected to this one, and it's equally treacherous: the comfort zone. Not the comfort zone as an abstract concept, but as a very concrete circle of habits, environments, and situations that your mind has turned into routine. Inside that circle, everything is predictable. And the human brain loves predictability, because predictability means safety. The problem is that inside that circle there is also no growth. Every person who truly transformed their financial reality has a story of a moment when they chose discomfort. But not because they enjoyed suffering. Nobody does. It's because they knew that, on the other side of fear, was something comfort could never deliver. It might be the decision to learn a new skill at nearly 50 years old. It might be sending a proposal to a client without being sure they'll accept it. It might be leaving a stable job to invest in a project that truly matters. The size of the risk will vary. The principle is the same. Growth lives exactly where comfort ends. Now we've reached a point that ties together everything we've discussed. And it's a point that, in practice, makes all the difference between those who move forward and those who stay in the same place. Doing everything alone. It sounds like I'm talking about independence. In reality, I'm talking about one of the greatest limiters of financial growth that exists. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how hard you work, there is a physical, cognitive, and time-based ceiling that a single person will never be able to break through alone. Every major successful financial project, without exception, involved collaboration. When you look at stories of people who started from nothing and reached significant wealth, beneath the surface there's always a network. A mentor who opened a door, a partner who complemented a skill, a community that offered support in moments of doubt. That doesn't diminish anyone's merit. It reinforces the intelligence of those who knew how to build bridges instead of trying to swim across the ocean. And there's a practical aspect here worth highlighting. The world is full of businesses and entrepreneurs who have decades of experience and expertise, but who are completely lost in the digital environment. People who built solid companies, who have loyal clients, who deeply understand what they do, but who don't know how to use online tools to scale, organize processes, sell more, or simply have a decent digital presence. And that's exactly where someone with digital skills can create real value, be well compensated for it, and build a reputation that opens doors no resume ever could. There's one more element in this equation that few people take seriously until they understand its impact. Ego. Not ego as self-confidence, which is necessary. Ego as a barrier to learning. The person who already thinks they know everything can't absorb what they don't know. And what they don't know is exactly what could change their game. The market doesn't care how good you think you are. The market responds to what you deliver. And what you deliver is directly proportional to how much you keep learning, even when you already have some experience. Great wealth builders share intellectual humility. The willingness to listen to someone who knows more, to read what they haven't read yet, to try what they haven't tried yet. And that has nothing to do with insecurity. It has everything to do with understanding that knowledge is an iceberg, and what you see on the surface is a tiny fraction of what lies beneath. My friend, we've reached the end of this video, and now I need you to do something. Not tomorrow, today. I need you to look at everything we've discussed here and answer me, honestly. Which of these mistakes are you making right now? Working only for money without building skills that last? Spending on appearances instead of investing in assets? Blaming the system without looking at what you can control? Doing everything alone when you could be collaborating? Letting ego stop you from learning? Refusing to leave the comfort that keeps you exactly where you are? Because the knowledge you received here today has absolutely no value if it stays only in the realm of ideas. Wealth isn't built with intention. It's built with repeated action, day after day, even when the results aren't showing yet. Even when the numbers still don't add up. Even when the people around you still don't understand what you're doing. If this video moved you in any way, if something here touched something real for you, then do this, like this video right now, because that helps more people who need these ideas find this content. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell, because every week there's new content here on wealth building, financial mindset, and strategies that actually work for those who are building from zero. And before you go, I invite you to explore the other videos on the channel. There's content here on financial habits, on how to think about investing, on the behavioral patterns that separate those who thrive from those who stay stuck. Each video will expand on what you learned today. You deserve access to this level of knowledge. I believe in you, truly, with every word I wrote here. Regardless of where you started, of how unfair life was at your starting point, you carry within you more capacity than you imagine. We all carry battles that others don't see, but we all also carry possibilities we haven't yet explored. Do more with what you have. Improve your life. And when you get there, reach back and extend your hand to those who are just beginning. That's the kind of legacy that truly matters.